Hello everyone, it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio, and today I'm sharing with you what I made for the third mystery envelope collaboration from Bea Grobe. She sends out some envelopes with vintage goodies in them, and then each person who receives one is supposed to make some art in a video, and then all the links of those videos will be posted in the description box below. In addition, some of these items are on Bea's website to be purchased if you like them. So that will be below the video as well, the link to her website. So I showed a picture at the beginning of what came in the envelope. There was this vintage drawing of like a Victorian lady. There was some metallic foil paper types medallions and trim. There was some lace trim. There was some buttons on a plastic piece. And then there was this big piece of fabric that had hearts cut out of it, which I think would make a really cool textured background on like a assemblage canvas. But I decided not to make an assemblage canvas today. I decided to do something different. As some of you know, I'm in a group where we exchange paper dolls. And this month I didn't make a paper doll because I just was not feeling like I could take on something else. So I bowed out this month, but the theme of the paper dolls was flowers. And the paper doll that I made here on this video would have been perfect for it. So, of course, it's too late now. And I'm not actually talking about April. I'm talking about March. I don't even know what April is. But anyway, I decided to make this vintage drawing of the fancy Victorian lady into a paper doll. So there was a piece of yellow cardstock included in the envelope. I'm not sure if it was supposed to be a stiffener to hold stuff or if it was actually part of the envelope, but it was a stiff enough paper to make a paper doll out of. So I cut apart the vintage drawing, and it's very fragile, extremely fragile. The minute I touch it, it tears. So I know that I'm going to cover some of it with other paper and make everything even more stiff. So I'm not too worried. I'm mostly planning on using the face and the hands from the actual drawing, and then everything else is going to end up being covered by other papers. I thought about using that piece of fabric as well for part of the dress, but the whole thing was just too big. It had too big of hearts, too big of everything. So I ended up not using it and just using some of the other pieces. So the rules are you got to use at least 50% of the items in the envelope. So I did. I used 50%, and then I added some other things that I had to beef it up a little bit. So I've cut off the arms. One is the way she's turned, she's kind of walking at a side angle. So one arm is going to end up being in front and one's going to end up being in back. And that's just kind of something that you have to think about. I also did make another body, but I'm not going to show you that because I didn't end up liking it very much. See, there's that fabric I'm talking about. It's like a brocade fabric with things cut out of it. But I just couldn't, with my plan, I couldn't come up with something to use it for. It is the biggest part of the thing, you know. It was a big piece of the puzzle there. But I will sometimes use it as a texture, like glue it onto a canvas and then gesso over the top of it, because I think it would be really great for that. Make a really interesting textured background on an assembly type canvas project. So I kind of drew around the areas that were left on the body. Of course, it's a body and a dress with a long skirt, a dress, you know. So I'm thinking about how I'm going to decorate it, what I'm going to use all these little pieces for. The pieces are interesting. They're quite heavy, but they're not actually metal. They're like coated paper, I think. I'm not sure how they make that, but interesting stuff. There was some silver and some gold. I decided to use both the silver and the gold. There you can see the body, and I had On the opposite side of the drawing, there was other black and white drawings of things, and I had used some of those pieces, the scrap pieces, to make a little dressing gown or whatever on the body. But I just didn't like it, so I didn't end up using it. I didn't ever make it arms or a head either, but I figured you could use the arms and head that came, it was like kind of interchangeable. I don't know. Anyway, not a fan, so I ended up not using it. But I have some other paper. I have some floral paper, and I was still thinking about the idea of flowers because that theme of the group that I'm in, I've seen a lot of cute paper dolls, floral paper dolls lately. Obviously, on the group, everybody's posting their cute paper dolls, which is kind of, I don't know, that's kind of what inspired me, I guess. The way that I make art dolls or paper dolls is very different from what I'm doing here, but this is absolutely a way that you can do it by using a drawing. And paper dolls were always kind of a vintage Victorian thing anyway, so this turned out very well, I thought. I enjoyed how it came out. So this other paper is just printed paper. It's actually from Craftbox UK. It's leftovers. I had some 6x6 kind of scrapbook paper that had sort of small floral designs. I was looking for things that were small enough to fit on the doll because it's not very large. And I'm covering up that whole, the bodice with one piece and then the skirt with another piece. I'm still thinking about all the little different trim pieces and what I'm going to do with them. I decided to cut apart the gold medallion piece, one of the gold medallion pieces. There was 3, and make it part of her fancy hat that she's wearing, and add in addition paper rose flower, also from Craftbox UK. Everything else that I used is from Craftbox UK, I think, because they fit the theme. They were floral, springy type of items that I had in a box sitting next to me on the shelf. So leftovers from a different video. I also decided to use some of the silver because I realized I was going to use the silver trim on the dress, and so I wanted everything to match. So I actually ended up using both gold and silver trim, which in the video maybe you can't see as much which ones are different from each other, but probably in the pictures at the end you'll be able to see. So then with the arms, I needed to also cover, I just wanted to use the hand and forearm part of each arm, and I needed the dress to cover the rest of the arms. So I'm still using that same paper, cutting it to shape, and then I end up using some of these little metal paper type pieces as the lace on, the arms. Victorian clothes are so fussy and fancy, and I bet they were hot and heavy. Ugh. Not in a good way, but pretty, very pretty. So here I'm just kind of starting some shading with my pencil just to kind of get an idea of the shading in the pleats and different things, but I kind of stopped with that. So then the other piece that I had cut was a lot more thin, and I needed to make that puffy, I guess that's what you'd call it, puffy sleeve on that one as well. So I just drew the paper a little bit larger and then put on another piece of that gold foil medallion for the fancy sleeves on that one. And then these are attached using mini brads, and I ended up using gold mini brads because of all the gold trim that I put at the top of the dress, the collar or ruff or whatever you want to call it. The little gold brads blend in there very well. Now, if you've watched any of my other art doll videos, and I have a few, you know that I usually do the backs. I usually finish the backs. This one is more like a real paper doll. The back is not finished. It's just yellow on the back from the yellow paper. But that's okay. That's a one way to do it. It's just I'm fussy, so I end up usually doing the front and the back and making some type of removable clothes. This one isn't removable. It's just it is what it is. It's all glued together. Now this is a washi rice paper sticker, and I was kind of thinking about one of those the dresses that has like I don't know what it's called, but it has a poofy part that kind of comes out from the waist and goes down to like below your bottom, and then the rest of the dress is more narrow. I don't know what that's called, but I'm sure somebody in the comments will tell me. Someone always does. So I decided to use the sticker. I was thinking about maybe putting it at the bottom, but I decided no, I really wanted it to be the poofy thing that goes around your waist down to your bottom. And then I guess probably the purpose of that was they were really into small waists and they wore tight cinchers around their waist to make them even smaller. And so if you put something around your hips and your bottom that's poofy, that's automatically going to make your waist look smaller. So I imagine that that's what that design was about. But I like how it came out, and it's more whimsical because I used a flower sticker instead of, another piece of paper or fabric as it would be. I think it makes it cute. So, of course, the sticker stuck out past the where the edges of the skirt are. And so I had to use some of that yellow paper and just kind of stick it to the sticker on the back and then trim around it. And one thing I don't like about this washi tape sticker is that it has a large rim around it. Like it's not cut right to the colored part. It's got a big white space around it. So I cut that off when I trimmed around after I put the heavier paper on the back. And of course that's not attached, so it's a little bit flimsy, but it does work. It keeps it stiff and also not sticky, because if you just left it, then that sticky part of the sticker on the back would be sticking to everything. That would not be good. So then I have a piece of the gold medallion and then the silver trim around the waist. And then I put another little cutout piece of flowers down here in the lower corner just for more interest, and added another paper flower to make it more interesting, a little bit more design. There wasn't a lot going on the bottom part of that skirt. There wasn't just, plain color, but not a lot of design. So another piece of silver trim across the bottom. And then, of course, the paper flower glued on there is another red rose. So her whole outfit's kind of pink and red. I like it. I think it's pretty. So another piece that came in the envelope is some kind of crocheted trim, like something you'd sew with. And so I decided to glue some of that on, and I glued it across the bottom and then also onto the sleeves, and then on the very top at the neck. She had some lace going around her neck in the drawing, and I just put a little piece of it up there as well, and it just added a little bit more zhuzh, which I thought was fun. And then the last thing that I did glue on, and I don't know if it's right now or if it's after the fact, there was some antique pearl buttons, type of, like you'd see on a shirt, like a men's shirt, pearlized buttons. And I did glue one button right there at the top by the collar. So I've got pretty much everything glued down, and I'm just maybe seeing if I need to do a little bit of trimming, and also just like kind of pressing things down with my fingers to make sure it's all stuck real well. And then I decide I need some shading, and so I'm using a Stabilo All pencil, it's the gray one, the graphite colored one, not the black one. And I'm adding shadows around each part of the doll, and then also like some little like pleat looking things to kind of make it a little bit more dimensional. And I'm blending that with a water tank brush because it is a Stabilo all pencil. It's water reactive, and so I can use that type of a water brush to just blend it a little bit, and that makes it a little bit more interesting, a little bit more not realistic, but you know what I mean. Then I grab a pink Faber-Castell Pitt pen, and I darken the top of the hat there that's still showing from that, you know, that I haven't covered up with the other stuff. And then also give her a little bit pinker cheeks and add a little bit more color with a skin tone marker. And yeah, it's mostly done. I think I'm probably to the point where I find the buttons. There we go. Put one button on there. So if you've enjoyed this, please remember to give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment or question below, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on your notification bells. And of course, you can pin this to your art dolls board if you want to. So also, don't forget, there's links to other people's videos so you can see what they did with the same or similar type of items below the video. So make sure that you click through and watch everybody's videos. Give them a thumbs up and all that because they appreciate it. Thanks. Bye-bye.